more and more, I I I hate modern secular culture, individualistic, more and more because it's so empty. It's nothing, right? When you get rid of community, when you get rid of family, when you get rid of values, when you get rid of faith, what the hell do you have left? Nothing. Nothing. Right? You have nothing, nothing, nothing left. What we value most in modern, secular, individualistic, industrial societies is liberation, liberalism, individuality, and convenience, safety. There's a reason why we want safety because the world is dangerous. Because we died from malaria and smallpox and famines. Half of kids historically did not live past the age of 5, right? Historically. I mean, there's a reason why we like convenience because it's comfortable. Because we like things that are the same, right? But safety and convenience, what does it also mean? It means we're not able to adapt. We're not able to grow. We're not able to challenge our own assumptions, our own ideas. We're not able to really experience what it really means to live, right? Because your castle that protects you can also become your prison. That's why. Liberation. Liberation is a bunch of hocus pocus. It really is. Freedom. Freedom in the ancient sense really meant freedom of mastery, freedom through obligation, freedom through commitment, freedom through loyalty. Today's definition of freedom is freedom from obligation, freedom from commitment, right? Freedom from external constraints. That's the most bogus thing imaginable. What is true freedom? Death. Death is freedom. Freedom from external constraints, freedom from obligation, freedom from loyalty, freedom from commitment, responsibility. Death is ultimate freedom, right? It's a dying cult. When we're not able to control our own external environments, right? We now have more control of our external environment than ever through things like weather detection systems. Maybe not control, but right, we have GPS, satellites, weather data. We have all these things, technology, right? Seismometers, right? That can roughly predict weather, other sorts of disasters, right? And yet we feel more anxious than ever, right? We feel more anxious than ever, right? All these things that are supposed to give us more insight, right? Which is supposed to make us feel more secure. They're supposed to make us feel more liberated from external constraints. They make us feel more constrained, right? It feels so foolish. It really is foolish what we're doing. It's truly, utterly foolish what we're doing. The worst punishment you can inflict on people, on a conquered people, was to mass exile, to mass migrate people from their land, right? To cut them off from their land, right? So that you took them from their roots, you took them from their culture, their values, their people, That's what being a slave was, right? You stopped being a human because you were cut off from your social bonds, right? That's what being a slave meant. Now we do that willingly. We do that willingly, right? We move in search of opportunity, right? In search of chance, right? People cut themselves off from their roots willingly. It's crazy. It really, our world is insane. Maybe I'm crazy, or maybe the world is crazy. The third thing is individualism. Individualism is the most narcissistic way of thinking. It's all about me, right? Selfish, me. Children need to be selfish to develop, right? They need to be, right? But eventually, when you become an adult, you learn, right? Not just learn, you naturally develop compassion, empathy, because that's what it means to grow, right? But individualism is not the ultimate conclusion, right? It's only a stage, just like a human development stage, right? It's only a stage in the cycle of human civilization. Civilizations evolve exactly in the same way as people grow, right? It's exactly the same. A young civilization is naive, optimistic, experiments a lot, right? Individualistic, selfish, innovates, right? And then over time it becomes more mature, wizened, slower, more compassionate, right? It's the same. It is the same. And because of that, today we live in a very, very sick society, a very alienated, isolated, sick society. All the problems of the world, every single problem can be traced to one thing. One thing. It's alienation, it's isolation, it's disconnection. What is chronic illness, obesity, aging, all of that is related to disconnection from the body. You're not connected to your body, right? You're not listening to your body's signals, right? You're eating too much. You're not listening to your body. Climate change is disconnection from nature, not listening to nature's cues, right? Not understanding what nature is trying to tell us, right? Not listening. Mental illness, right? Mental illness is on the rise. What is that? Disconnection from each other, right? Alienation from each other. All of our problems are nuclear warfare, disconnection from nation states, right? We're not that there's a gap in communication between nation states, right? Nuclear warfare. AI, right? That's a misalignment. Misalignment is just it's disconnection between humanity and AI. It's all just disconnection. It's all just alienation, right? It's all just not that we haven't integrated it, right? Every single one of our problems can be traced to disconnection, that it's not integrated fully. Every single problem. Hunter-gatherers, modern hunter-gatherers are some of the most happiest people on earth. Some of the most. And yet they face high infant mortality. They have nothing, right? They have almost no material possessions. Obviously, they don't live like their ancestors lived 10,000 years ago, because most of them have had contact with modern global nation states. However, even then, it kind of shows us that life is much more simple than we really take it for, right? Life is a lot more simple, right? We've kind of lost the way. Sin, right? Sin is to miss the mark. It's to lose the way, basically. Dukkha, right? Which is the suffering, but suffering is just the misalignment of the wheel, right? We're just misaligned. Suffering, sin, evil, all of these are just, we've just forgot, right? We just forgot. It's ignorance. Of what? Of our roots, right? Of God, of the higher nature. But we can't go back. The only way out is the way through. That's the only way out. Technology was never meant to solve a single damn problem. Not a single damn problem. Because technology was never meant to do that. Technology is techne. Techne is art. Art is expression of our humanity. Art was never meant to solve a problem. Art is a way of expressing our humanity, but it's not supposed to solve a problem. Yes, technology, engineering, science, mathematics, they solve practical problems, right? Sure, like plumbing problems, electricity problems, agriculture problems. Sure. But they don't solve really anything at all, right? They don't solve anything, right? Our actual concerns, right? Our actual deepest concerns, right? Which is how to live a fulfilling life, right? How to live a meaningful life. They don't solve a single damn thing. Why? Because for all the technology we have, it hasn't made us a single bit happier. Not a single bit. And I can say that for a fact. Because hunter-gatherers who have nothing, materially speaking, are some of the most happiest people in the world. Technology has not made us happier. Not one bit. Because it was never meant to make us happier. But technology is a way of expressing our humanity, just like art, just like music, just like cooking, just like dancing, right? It's a way of expressing our humanity, and that's why it's beautiful, right? But it was never meant to solve anything. That's where we've been misguided. I don't believe in choice. I don't believe in free will. Because choice is a belittling word. Choice is a disgraceful word. Very distasteful to use choice. Choice implies that life is like some multiple choice, right? Like it's some visual novel, right? Like you have choices, routes. Life is not a visual novel. Life is not a multiple choice test, right? Life is conviction. Life is faith. Choice, it's not some trivial little choice you make, right? Life is complete faith in your actions and your doing. That's why the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because intentions are nothing. Action is everything, right? Good actions are what leads to a good life. And you already know what leads to a meaningful life. Everybody already knows. Everybody. You already know. Raising a child, taking care of your family, loving your friends, living your mission, contributing to humanity, expressing your own humanity. Everybody already knows. It's so simple, right? We all know it. We all know it, right? We all know what's the most important thing in life. Everything else is trivial. Everything else is fluff. And fluff is beautiful, right? Everything else is the cherry on top. And I like the cherry on top, right? I do like the cherry on top. But it's just the cherry on top. When we really get down to the fundamentals, right? When we really get down to the basic of basics, all that really matters in life is love, labor, laughter, and learning. That's all that matters. Labor is just what we do, right? It's act, which is karma, right? Karma is action. Laughter, humor, right? The divine comedy, the great play. Love, love is the ever expansive force. Love is when two become one. Love is the merging. When you practice love, love for one becomes love for all. So love for your family then becomes love for your friends, which becomes love thy neighbor, which becomes love thy nation, which becomes love humanity, love animals, love nature, love the clouds, love the stars, love the oceans, love the galaxy, love the universe, right? Love is ever expansive. It's when you don't have separateness anymore. The hardest part, or not the hardest, the trickiest part really is our mind is great at analyzing, compartmentalizing, dissecting, categorizing, separating, which is great for analysis, for logic. But love is how we integrate things, right? The whole thing about disconnection, alienation I mentioned earlier, it's love. Love is when you fully integrate. It's when you reconnect. It's when you heal. When you heal those wounds. And that's love. And that love is everywhere. It's all around us. Sometimes I do feel a little bit dismayed by the by the state of the world with pharmaceutical residues, microplastics, endocrine disruptors, air pollution, water pollution, with the state of global affairs, geopolitical tension, cultural tension, hatred and fear. There's so much fear.